Uganda, popularly known as the Pearl of Africa, with an estimated population of around 42 million by mid-2018, Uganda ranks as one of the countries with the highest population growth rates worldwide. According to Youth Policy, a global organization that tracks youth dynamics, Uganda has the world's youngest population, with over 78% of its population below the age of 30. With just under 8 million youth aged 15 to 30, the country also has one of the highest youth unemployment rates in sub-Saharan Africa. This large young population is experiencing numerous challenges, key of which is rising human trafficking as the youth seek jobs locally and abroad, as well as parents seeking better living conditions for their children. For many, a step away from home often turns out to be the last they ever see their homesteads. Human trafficking is on the rise and is affecting both boys and girls of all sizes and tribes. Trafficking in persons refers to a number of deliberate acts that involve mobilization, transfer, receipt, harboring of persons through improper means of deception, fraud, debt bondage, and abuse of position of vulnerability, among others, for the purposes of exploitation.
Human trafficking refers to a number of activities which includes recruitment or contacting somebody or mobilizing somebody and then transferring or organizing the transfer of that person from one place to another for purposes of exploiting that person.
The fight against human trafficking is governed by a number of legal frameworks. These include the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act 2009, the National Action Plan for Prevention of Trafficking in Persons 2013-2018, the Principles of the UN Palermo Protocol, the Regulations for Externalization of Ugandan Migrant Workers, the Immigration Act, the Penal Code Act, and the Children's Act. Trafficking in persons is real and ongoing process due to so many predisposing factors. Trafficking in human beings is one of the biggest challenges facing the world today. According to a 2007 report, it is the fastest growing vice by which people are forced into slavery.
These people who are mobilized in such improper ways are exploited in terms of forced labor, in terms of sexual abuse and exploitation, in terms of removal of body parts for use in transplant or in witchcraft, and some of them are used in commission of other crimes, which include drug trafficking, which include rebel activities, involving themselves in rebel activities, or even terrorist activities, and the other exploitations include using children for harmful child labor, or using children in armed conflicts.
The persons who are mobilized through the improper means and chain are referred to as victims or survivors of trafficking in persons, while all those involved in the improper chain of mobilization, transfer, receipt, and harboring of the victims are culprits or suspects of the crime. Uganda serves as a source, transit, and destination area for victims of human trafficking. It is estimated that over 21 million people are trafficked around the world, fueling a $150 billion industry for traffickers, yet there were only 9,071 convictions for trafficking globally in 2016. Is this one of the major challenges facing the fight against human trafficking?
Of course, there are push factors which are pushing Ugandans and the other people who are brought here to enter into the chain, the racket of traffickers. And the biggest push factor is poverty and unemployment, especially for the youths. So this is a big problem, and although we try to sensitize, but it makes Ugandans become desperate and try to venture, and in the process they end up becoming victims of trafficking.
I think on average you rescue about 2 people a month. That's really small because the process is so tedious. Rescuing a person you never took. Interpol never participates in taking people for work. Now we get into situations where the appeals come to us, to rescue these people. And we must engage all sorts of issues, communicating to those countries, discovering where these girls are, or young men, doesn't matter. So our rate of discovering and bringing back these Ugandans is still very low because the process is so tough, the process is difficult. But it's better to cure this than to make us get involved in rescuing people. Curing it is easier.
Ugandan youths are continuously trafficked to countries like China, India, Malaysia, Thailand, South Africa, Canada, and the Middle East, with the promise of employment for odd jobs like security guards, house helps, nannies. But many end up becoming victims of forced labor and sexual exploitation.
She's only looking for capital to start up her own salon.
Nakane Maprosi was intercepted in November 2016 at Entebbe International Airport on her way to Oman. She had been promised a job in the Middle East country by an illegal recruiter.
So I was stuck, very, very stuck. I even need to find lunch. It was so hard for me. So I find a friend. She was my best friend. She's married. I was not married, but I was trust her. She said she can find for me a job in Abu Dhabi. I said, okay. Is it good or is bad? They are careless. She just said I was working there. It's good. First told me that it's very, very good. I said, okay. But I asked her about language. For her, she told me that it's okay, you can use any language you know. But for me, I was saying, if I know only Ugandan language, how do I survive there when I don't know that language? She just say, it's okay, you will go, they pay good, you have your salary, you take care of that children, you have anything you want. So for me, because I don't have a job, suffering, I say, okay, how do I get passport when I don't have anything? She helped me to get passport, to get everything. She really helped me with nothing. They didn't charge me any money. They charged me a little because I don't have. So for me, I thought that where they're taking me is going to be good. I'm going to be like happy in the house I'm going. When I was going, they stopped me in Entebbe first time. I told them, they stopped me, what do I do? They said, wait, you pass. I wait. Until it was very, very late. They started saying that we are closed. They go out. I didn't go. There is some papers it was missing. They said you can't go when don't have that papers. I just say okay. I'll come back when I have that papers. Then I go back. I told her. She said we'll search for that, but that's not problem. Go back. By last Friday, I go again to try again. When I was telling they say you can't go to work on that country, it's so bad. But for me, because she told me that it's good, I just say, let me go as me, I work for myself. But what is I wasn't know is so hard. Like that time was even don't know English. I was just using Ugandese in everywhere.
She was intercepted and brought to this office. We tried to counsel her, and I realized that she had a big problem of care, especially at that time she had 2 younger children of her late sister whom she was taking care of, and for her she said she was burdened, she had nothing to do, and that's why she was being forced to go out and try her venture. So I linked up with one of the organizations which has been helping to rehabilitate and to help in the reintegration of victims of trafficking, Uganda Youth Development Link.
Victims of human trafficking come from both urban centers and Uganda's deepest rural community, like Kitugum. These 3 youths were rescued from bondage in Juba, South Sudan, and rehabilitated by the Uganda Youth Development Link, UYDEL, in Kampala.
Basically, we have been taking them through psychosocial support, through rehabilitating them, trying to rehabilitate them to see that we reach a consensus of making better decisions, and also enjoying the recreational therapy that is sports. Basically, most of the time in sports. Yeah, that's what we are doing.
The various forms of human trafficking in persons experienced in Uganda are trafficking in persons for sexual exploitation, trafficking in persons for use in illegal activities, trafficking in children for illicit acquisition of wealth through fraudulent child adoptions. In a report published by the New Vision in 2015, Kampala recorded a surge in the number of able-bodied Karamojong beggars. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development back in 1993 found that there were 4,000 street children in Kampala. The problem, particularly fueled by the influx of Karamojong families, the current estimates put the numbers at a mind-blowing 10,000. Majority of these Karamojong that end up on the streets of Kampala as beggars reportedly came to the city in search of a good life, as most of them were sent to Kampala by their families to find odd jobs to help support their relatives back home. Trafficking in human persons is one of the modern slavery because traffickers employ violence, threats and other forms of force to their victims to work against their will. Actual statistics on human trafficking, including child trafficking, are difficult to obtain because it is a covert activity. Traffickers use many techniques to lure their victims. This hill in Busia district acts as a meeting point for victims because they head out to neighboring Kenya.
The information we have is that the victims, younger ladies mostly, and boys are taken to Nairobi through Busia, Malaba or Wakaka, but the vehicles do not drop them in the town centers itself. They stop them along the way, like this stage, which is at Bustema Junction, and then from here, the borders carry these girls through Panyas across the border to Kenya, and then from there they proceed to their destination areas, where they end up getting the problems. So what we are trying to encourage people is that if you are going to Kenya and you are going for a right course, you are going to work, you are going in a proper way, there is no need for you to be dropped along the way, so that again a border picks you to take you through the border. You should, if someone is dropped along the way, like at such a stage here at Bustema, then that one should know that is being trafficked and should report to the police, so that such people who have brought them here can be arrested and then taken to court as per the laws.
To police, due to the secrecy involved, many of the victims are also accomplices in the crime.
That many of the victims of human trafficking actually play a role to actualize the offense. Some of those who want to take you abroad will tell you lies, will get you fake documents, and you remove under the guise of getting employment, of going for greener pastures. You can easily find that you are duped. You falsely declared or gave us information under deception because you wanted a job. For me, it's important that we go through all these steps to avoid a possible scenario of you suffering more here and abroad. Some people claim that they are going for private visits, yet they are going to look for jobs. Now, when you are going for a private visit, they do not take you through all these requirements. As long as you have maybe an invitation from the other end and say lie, you go. But what happens thereafter? We may not be able to trace you. You may suffer and will not be able to intervene appropriately. And all that, you will find late that you participated in actualizing crime.
Human trafficking involves a host of activities anchored on exploitation. As seen in this animation, everyone can fall prey to the whims of human trafficking.
Employed for a long time and was desperate for a job. In my search one day, I found an advert for good-paying jobs abroad. I knew this was it, but I was supposed to pay $5,000 to cater for my travel and accommodation. And the rest was to be taken care of. Without looking back, I sold whatever belonged to me and even borrowed so as to get the fee required. Jobs promised were nowhere to be seen. No pay and extremely poor standards of living. By God's grace, I managed to escape, but now I'm stranded on the streets with no documents, no money, no help. I'm nothing. My greatest gift I can get is seeing myself home. Human trafficking is real.
Human sacrifice is one of the components of human trafficking, and many children are losing their lives to this vice. In July 2012, Uganda's female parliamentarians introduced the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons Bill in Parliament, a comprehensive draft anti-trafficking law, where it garnered unanimous support from the floor. The Ugandan government, through the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, is using the 4P strategy, which includes prevention, protection, prosecution, and creating partnerships. Under prevention, emphasis has been put on sensitization of the masses on the dangers of human trafficking.
One of the biggest point we are using strategy is awareness as a way of prevention. We also making interceptions of suspected victims of trafficking along all of the exit points at Entebbe Airport and all of the other exit points, and so that those people can be guided on proper way of going out. And then also the government is also has been developing and continue to discuss ways of developing bilateral labor agreements with a number of foreign countries where Ugandans go for work, so that it eases the monitoring and the working conditions in those areas where they are going. So that's one of the basic strategy we're using of prevention, and what we want to use this chance to say people should be able to pay heed to the advice which has been given on prevention of trafficking. The other strategy we are using is prostitution. The police has been mobilized together with the DPP, Office of the DPP, and intelligence agencies are working together to detect the crime and then investigate and prosecute.
This involves urging Ugandans and foreigners to only use official exit and entry points.
This is Busia one-stop border post. This is where we receive all our people who are coming in and going out of Uganda, and we advise all the travelers to use these offices which offer all the immigration facilities and services. We are advising that all the people avoid using the ungazetted routes to go out of the country, because they will be avoiding all the problems which comes along with passing through the ungazetted areas.
Outreaches are also mounted in areas that act as recruitment centers for culprits. This is such an outreach in Sembabule district.
Nadala ababakulu naye abaana abato nga chairman bwagambye mugezeko okubabudira ku kyalo tubafunira ebyokukola ku kyalo. Mwebuuze ku bannammwe abalala ndabe wuye mulina emwanyi mulina ettaka bagireki bakole ebintu ebinaabazimba, kuba bano abaana mbona balaba bakoma mu kyamukaaga bakoma mu kyakutaano. Ekitegeeza abazadde baabwe tebateeka mu maanyi nnyo kwongera kubongeramu abaana babeere nti basobola okubeera n'ekirala ekyokukola, kubanga nga batuleetera UPE batuleetera USC andi manyi wano amasomero aga UPE we gali, so naye nga wabeerawo ndowooza obutabeera obugalambi abaana ne batasobola kusoma kusuuka awo.
Although Parliament passed a law, very few duty bearers, especially police officers, know of its contents. Efforts are on to sensitize police officers on the available legislation.
On the management of this type of cases, I have also brought a copy of the law, and which can be guided, and you can be given which can guide you on the sections. And I've given even one to the state attorney. And then, with due respect, what I wanted to caution, don't think that the state attorney is... This law also, the state attorneys don't know. We also planning to train them. Yes, that's why when you look at this file, this state attorney had done nothing on it, because he doesn't know the law. he has not also understood it. Even in the judges, magistrates, the plan is to make them also understand. They are different, but there are some of these new laws are a problem to them.
Government has put in place mechanisms to control human trafficking. These include establishment of the External Employment Management System, an online portal that monitors the activities of external labor recruiting agencies. There is hope that the system, once utilized efficiently, will curb on the illegal export of Ugandan labor.
It is meant to counter human trafficking because we've got so many Ugandans who have been going out of the country through panyas, and we are saying that we need to have the export of labor through licensed companies so that we can account for all the Ugandans who go out. Right from the time they leave this country to the time they are pressed for jobs in various countries outside there. Last time we had made some little progress, but I want to inform you that we have made very, very big progress in achieving this.
As a way forward, both the government and the public need to work together to defeat the crime. Government should effect provision of the required information to guide the public on safe migration. Government should improve the economy to reduce on the level of vulnerability or poverty. The public should pay heed to the information and cautions given to them by not giving our children for assistance. For now, efforts are on to ensure that victims are rehabilitated and given life skills enable them cope up.
The government, working together with various agencies, have built up a coordinated mechanisms of protecting, of identifying victims and providing them with the necessary assistance, including return air tickets from abroad, including temporary shelters, rehabilitation, and unorganized reintegration. That is being worked out through a syndicated system in the country. And the last TP is partnership. The government has adopted a coordinated way of handling things, bringing together several key stakeholders involved in this crime, and we work together and coordinate together internally, and then also coordinate transnationally. And mostly transnationally, we are using the Interpol and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to coordinate for us outside.
It is hoped that a sensitized population will easily resist the allure to seek non-existent opportunities in other communities.